What's the hardest thing you've overcome?
This.
What?
Telling the truth. Being willing to sit down with you and talk to you. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to look in the camera or look at you, because really, sometime in the future, I'm going to be talking to somebody who I don't know, but really I'm talking to you because I am interested in this conversation.
Every little kid is taught that they shouldn't talk to strangers. I mean, do you talk to strangers? How do you know if a stranger is worth speaking to? Hey kid, don't talk to strangers. Where's my daughter at? I'm gonna go get my daughter in here in a minute and tell her she's 3 weeks old, but she needs to know this.
Freedom is the sense of being unburdened by legal responsibility to act, behave, be, think, or respond in a certain way. I have been thinking a lot about truth and what it means to me. It's a subjective state of being. It's a subjective way of understanding things, but I believe that the way that I perceived truth in the past was a big part of why I didn't feel free. I have had a certain set of filters around information that came in, and being a person who thinks about things, I tried very hard to understand things, but I could only do so as far as those filters allowed me, and wasn't always true, but I held those ideas and beliefs to be true, and it shaped the way that I behaved and was able to be close or not be close with other people. That's prison. I learned how to take a moment before deciding what was true and what wasn't. And that I also learned to take a moment before acting on impulses. And the incredible creative machinery up here that invents realities has to just chill out a little bit, and meditation helps with that. What is a fact? A fact is something that more than 3 people can prove. And I'm talking about, it could be an idea, it could be a state of being, it could be a historical principle or historical event or a principle, but it has to have been proven over time by more than just one person with a big charismatic way of presenting themselves. And when, for example, this, the latest kerfluffle via Twitter over, I don't want to get specific because who knows how long this footage will live in the future, but certain politicians and all of their associated talking heads, which help to defend their position, state firmly over and over different iterations of falsehoods, looking for ways to make them real, when others are showing proof over and over that those falsehoods are lies. My instincts aren't always right about truth, though, or what's right, but keeping an open mind helps to be willing to look at all the facts, because sometimes I'm wrong and the things that I want to be true aren't. Like, I want all Democrats to be perfect, and I want all politicians to be well-meaning, but I think that the nature of getting into that kind of service appeals to somebody who wants to control things, and I don't think that's a human trait that is in service of truth. We talked about this yesterday. I don't know if fighting anything is going to help. I think that steadfastly creating an alternate reality is the only way to make change. Protests get the message out and hopefully attract more like-minded people together, but you can't really accomplish too much shouting. There has to be a moment where there's stillness and dialogue, and then if no compromise can be reached, a respectful new road away from what's happening has to happen. I think that's so much easier in the modern world with technology, because you can create, you put up a website and all of a sudden you have a reality. You're solid, you're real, there's validity there. You can have followers, you have a social presence on media, you can create a movement. It wasn't like that 30 or 40 years ago. It's hard to say. I have mixed feelings about it. I'm amazed by the kind of power that can be generated by people talking to each other and sharing with each other. I'm amazed by the access to art and information that can be had. But I'm also disappointed by our human gullibility to try to find ourselves in a little tiny box instead of in another. Risk, insecurity, fear, self-worth, lack of self-worth, measuring up, not measuring up, expectations, trauma, hiding. Every single person has a different number of component parts that make who they are, and without ever saying a word, you can encounter somebody who kind of rubs you in the wrong way, and your parts don't fit with their parts. It's like alchemy, it's magic. You can't name it, it's hard to know why, but yeah, so it's hard. Do it anyway. Everything that we ever want in life is hard. Allowing your real self to connect with somebody else, which means that you're not afraid to say what you need. You're not afraid to ask what your partner needs. You're not always thinking about yourself. You're not always looking for your own reflection in somebody else. That's intimacy, when you're just really with that person. I think there's something that's really cool that's happened in society and culture over the last 40 years, and that is much more relaxation about sexuality and the human body, and less kind of religious fervor about nudity. At the same time, all of that is still there, but it's buried. So we have this really shallow facade of openness about sexuality, about the body, about nudity, but underneath it is this rigid fear, because all of that has always connoted intimacy. And we just want to skip that part of it all. By removing that layer of human contact, we've kind of stripped away the thing that really satisfies in the long run, because ultimately that itch is going to pop up again and again and again and again, and unless there's substance there, unless there's meaningful contact, there's emptiness. You can never fill that hole up. You know, there's not enough orgasms in the world. There's not enough Jimmy Choos in the world. There's not enough dollar bills in the world to fill it up. It's okay. So, in my professional career, I've been a ring mistress. You know, like, look at me. That's my job. Or that's how I interpreted my job for a long time. But now my job is more like, look at you. Show us. Like, what can I do to support you? I want to make you look good. There's always more love in the world. There's always more like shine for your best friend. You know, we never have to be jealous of each other. I've learned, I'm only talking about this from all the therapy I've done about being a jealous, competitive, you know, insecure person. But I think ultimately that's what it is. Reevaluating what's needed in the moment. Like, what am I bringing to this? What can I do to make it better? Am I being honest? What's my motivation for really doing this? You know, like constantly kind of reviewing all of that stuff. And then like, oh, I feel jealous. I want that bitch to get fat because, you know, I'm putting on 5 pounds. You know, like, wait a minute, what's that about? That's just about me tearing this place down. You know, but you have a choice. You can stop that or you can spiral into that thinking.
Right.
I want to have a choice about that shit today. Well, after understanding there's action, like you have to change it. You have to change, and the only thing we can do is change ourselves.
Yeah.
Which means, like, back to this like political debate or anything like that. You're never going to change anybody else's mind. I gotta accept that you have an opinion that's different than mine. I'm just going to go over here and keep doing what I do. I'm going to make a path around you because I can't go through you.
Right. Nor do I want to.
No, I want to. You're going to keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to do it over here. And then I'm going to keep going.
What does revolution mean to you when you hear that?